Hey, Tricia.
Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Good. How are you? Nice to see you.
It's good to see you as well. Good to see you.
I
Awesome.
love I love your hair. It looks awesome. I haven't seen you for a while.
Thanks. I know it's all cut off.
I love it. It looks
It feels
awesome.
so good. It's so nice.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it is, we have this live streamed into our workplace group, which is here at eXp Realty. So we've got about 7,000 people in this group. So we have a lot of people that watch live stream, especially in the summer, because people's schedules are kind of crazy in summertime. So I will be monitoring that. It is live stream, so we'll definitely have some online viewers, which you can't see, but they're watching us. And then I will just let people in as they join, because oftentimes we have people join throughout, the time if they are a little bit late, etc. But in the essence of time, we always get started right away because they can join in and they're watching live as well. And I also am recording this. So if you want the recording for anything, Tricia, if you want to, use excerpts of it yourself for any marketing, just let me know and I'll send it to you.
Sure.
And we'll have it in case we need it for something else. So let's just get started, because I want to make sure that we have the time allocated anywhere between 30, 45 minutes, whatever we need here. So first and foremost, I am just excited to have you here. And I know this is going to bring value to a ton of people, even while we're live streaming it. This stays in our workplace group indefinitely, so people go back and watch all the time. So I know this is going to bring value to a lot of people. We are all entrepreneurs in this world and in this group. And so a lot of the conversation we're going to have today, I think, is very, very important and very pertinent for entrepreneurs. So I'm very excited for you to be sharing what you are going to share. By the way, hey, Derek, nice to see you again. I know you don't have audio, I don't think, but nice to see you here. So let's start first with a little bit of information about you. I love to do a little intro so people get to know who you are and why you're going to be talking about what you're going to be talking about. So let's start there.
Okay, so a little bit about who I am. I wear many hats. I wear many hats. So I'm a mom of two. I'm a 46-year-old married mom of two who has lived in Wilmington, North Carolina, where the water is beautiful. The weather is beautiful. Today is a little bit cloudy, but generally we have bright blue sunny days, and that's very inspirational to me. I'm also a health and fitness coach. So I've been doing that for a little while. I've been a half and full marathon coach, an endurance coach, an in-person coach, shifted to online coaching during the last couple of years. So that's another aspect of what I offer, and that's really opened up some one-on-one coaching for me. I'm also a general manager for a restaurant and brewery. So like I said, wear many hats. So over there, we manage lots of people. So in the essence of everything, it just ties. There's so many pieces that overlap and run together. I'm also a master practitioner in mental and emotional release, and I'm NLP certified. And again, like all of these parts and pieces and components have just compiled to overlap in so many different ways and open up opportunity to so many people, to myself included. Like it's incredible how life unfolds itself. And I really enjoy what I do.
That's awesome. And you and I, just so the people that are watching know, you and I got connected a few years ago, and we were together in a coaching company. And that's when you went through your NLP certification, which I thought was awesome. And you were helping people with their health and fitness, primarily a lot of entrepreneurs. And we were just seeing such a correlation between moving the body on a regular basis and really taking care of themselves physically, and the changes mentally, emotionally, focus. I mean, just mental and emotional fitness. And we also know that it's not easy to get into certain habits or get into certain lifestyles when it comes to health and fitness. And there's a lot of psychology behind that as well. So it's kind of a round robin. If we can do it, it helps us psychologically, but psychology is what holds us back from doing it at the same time. So yeah. I was super excited when you were doing the NLP certification at the time that we were working together, because to me, it was such a unique combination of skill sets, knowing how to help people on their health and fitness journey, especially those that wanted to maybe do something that pushed themselves outside of their comfort zone, maybe some sort of endurance, competition or something, so that they could push themselves to a new limit, which would leak into their business indefinitely. it would absolutely make their business better and their life better. But it was also talking to people who knew that if they took more care of themselves and pushed themselves in the physical sense, that they would have a better life and business, and that they were having a hard time doing that. So you kind of did both of it. So to me, that's awesome. And I wanted to set that stage of that's a really unique combination and a phenomenal background. And you do one-on-one coaching, and you do some opportunities for people, even virtually, right? At this time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's actually opened up an entirely new world to me, and I can reach people that all across the country. I mean, it's been great. I've been coaching people up and down the East Coast, Midwest, and as far out as Oregon. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, the possibilities are endless because the remote world just allows the connection, right?
Yeah.
So, we can certainly tie that in together. And you hit on one of the big pieces that I do want to talk about as we get a little bit later. I guess one of the things I didn't say when I was introducing myself is I am an athlete myself. Well, I wouldn't consider myself like maybe a Olympic athlete or something along those lines, or a rock star athlete. But I do. I kind of backed into this world, into the coaching world, into all of this through my own experiential circumstances. Where you're right, I totally tied into how the body changes the mindset, and that whole connection through a negative experience of my own that led to just going down the path of I need to grab my sanity. I need to get my life back. I need to get back in this space. And you start to learn things about yourself that way. But yeah, so the athlete portion is huge. And you're right, 100%. Oftentimes we know that the psychological parts affect the ability to get into exercise, but we also know that the exercise affects our psychology, right? So the mind body connection is tremendous. And we can sometimes talk to ourselves blue in the face about that. And sometimes still have those habits, those patterns that show up in our world that tend to hold us back. And that's where the NLP really, really connected those two. And it is a really interesting combination of skills and techniques to have, because in NLP, which is neuro-linguistics programming, it's really about the communication and how we communicate not only with others, but with ourselves. So you're talking about like the neurons and the linguistics behind it, and the communication that we have with our conscious and unconscious mind. So it's really about looking at the context versus the content of the information and the stories that we tell ourselves. And that's where I find it invaluable for people who are trying to overcome things that routinely show up in their way. So it really is an awesome opportunity to utilize both pieces to just like create this upward spiral and have growth and opportunity leak in everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you need to share screen at all, Trish, or are you just going to chat today?
I'm just going to chat today.
Okay.
I didn't put together a slideshow, but I just wanted to kind of go through and chat a little bit. That's okay. We can do a slide.
That's perfect. I just want to make sure you had access if you needed it. Perfect. So you all have a great introduction to Tricia. You know why she's here now. I'm super excited. And if you have questions, unmute yourself. This is very interactional as always, or just chat in the chat box and we'll watch it. I'll keep an eye on the live stream in case anybody asks a question there for us, Tricia. And then we'll just open it up at the end for some questions as well. So you can take it away.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, so I kind of named this one like the first step to everywhere you want to go. And that's something that's kind of very near and dear to my heart, because this is a lot of where my story comes from. And it's as I move through life, I kind of look back and it's very reflective on maybe where I started, or, where I didn't even know what I didn't know, kind of that like unconscious incompetence piece. So, the first step to everywhere you want to go. We all have dreams. We all have aspirations. We all have goals, whether they're in business or in your physical world, your philanthropic goals, your family, your travel, all of those types of things. And I think we can all agree, like reaching our most aspired goals and our most desired lifestyle, it begins with energy and focus. And energy and focus are one of those two places where the body really comes into play. Like how you move the body and what you do to the body really affect what you can do and what you choose to focus on. And this is why I really like, without either of those, focus or energy, like we're really limited. right? Where we can go, what we can do, what we are willing to try. We limit ourselves. So this is one of those spaces where I think it's really an accessible opportunity for a lot of people to step into. And it's one of the reasons why I believe it's like putting on your shoes is the first step. Taking that first step will take you anywhere you want to go, but you got to take that first step. And because this is so accessible to so many people, I think it's one of those things where it's just it's the first place you go, right? It's some people like to sign up for a gym. That's not necessarily something you have to do. You literally just have to put your shoes on your feet and make a decision. So I'll go back. I know I introduced myself a little bit, but I want to give you a little bit of the story, kind of where I've come from. 12 years ago, I was arguably like coming from one of the most defeating places in my life. I had come out of a bad divorce. I was struggling as a single parent. I moved a long ways. There was a lot of things that were going on. And I turned, it's kind of what I started to say, I turned to movement. I turned to grasping hold of what I could control. Right. And sometimes all we can control is ourselves. So I took a little bit deeper look at that, and I went in wholeheartedly. I went into something that I thought was challenging. Running at this point, I want to give you a little bit of background. I was not a runner. I was not an endurance person. I was always active, but I wasn't a athlete, I guess I'd say, or even an aspiring athlete. And I moved down to a location where it was like Wilmington, North Carolina. Everybody moves down here. They have swimmers and runners and bikers and this and that, and the other, and triathletes and things like that. And I was like, okay, I can grab a hold of one of these strings. And I did. And I kind of moved myself into a position. And this is kind of where I said earlier on, I kind of backed into this, not knowing what I know now, how the body really affects the mental state. And so I was like, oh, I can do a 5K. I wanted to do a triathlon, but again, I was not a runner, but 5K, like, let's see if we can tackle one thing at a time. So I eased myself into that. And long story short, I'm not going to take you through the whole drums of it, but that fall I did a sprint triathlon, and I was amazed. Like, let me tell you, like that first mile, it sucked. It was hard. I was not happy. Like, there's things you have to get through the processes of working through that. You discover things about yourself that, oh, I can do it. I might not like it, but I can do it. And you start to recognize abilities you didn't see before because your eyes are now different. Your perspectives are different. You're learning things about yourself. So fast forward to that triathlon. It wasn't the best one ever, but I did it, right? And I learned things along the way there too. That opened up opportunities to kind of look at different, again, I was a single parent. I had moved down here, really focused on getting my kids in their world. It opened up a door for me that I wouldn't have seen before. The door led to a position working at a shoe store, working at a running store, which I was really, really good at, which opened up a coaching opportunity, which I didn't know anything about. Process took me through, if I'm going to coach from an endurance standpoint, from a running coach, I've got to learn a little bit more about this. So I took my certifications and I learned more, and I did, like, I put myself in the drugs with doing a half marathon, followed up by a marathon, followed up by a 50K. And it's hard work, but what you discover about yourself along the way opens up, again, it shifts your perspective, it shifts your mindset, it shifts so many pieces about yourself, and you learn and discover so much that there's nothing out there that you can take that would teach you anything more valuable. And it transfers into so many other places. Like sitting on this call, Carrie, this is not something that, the 5 year ago me, this would have been just not even something that I would have flashed across my mind. Even last year, like when we started last year, the idea of being on a Facebook Live for me, I was like, ooh, I was shaking. It was, my stomach was turning, all these things. But this is what you discover. Exercise, I didn't do it for the sake of getting healthy. I did it for the sake of finding myself, of finding sanity, of finding a way to get through. And it's just phenomenal what you will then ask yourself, oh, well, if I could do that, what if I did this? And that's where I really feel like the majority of health and fitness really dives deep into the rest of your world. Um, Nutrition is an important piece. Nutrition was something that I backed into also. I never ate unhealthy, but I didn't really prioritize it. Nutrition is one of those spaces where what we put in our body is what we're going to get out. So we focus a whole lot more on the content, and what we put in transfers directly to energy, and it transfers directly to focus. Um, and it's huge in the mindset of, what do you want for your body? Like, what do you want for yourself? How much are you willing to tweak something small here to get huge trajectory over in this corner? So nutrition was a big part. Like, we all want that energy and focus to maintain, essentially whatever goal you put out there, you're going to have to work towards it. And in order to work towards it, you're going to have energy. You're going to have to be able to time manage, and you're going to have to be able to prioritize, and all those things require focus. So the nutrition side of things is vital. It becomes a piece of you. It's a part of your lifestyle. The exercise is one of those things where it literally changes your body chemically, right? So the more you move, you start to produce endorphins. Endorphins are there. Well, endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine, like, you're really talking about some of the major neurotransmitters that affect so much of what you do, that they become your building blocks for how your day goes, right? So you're looking at mood boosting, you're looking at reducing anxiety, you're looking at pain reliever. Like, endorphins essentially are a neurotransmitter that attach to the same pain receptors that your Tylenol or your morphine attach to. What the process of what that does to your body physically and chemically is, it just rolls you into a space of being able to view things from a different perspective. I mean, we're all it's 2022. We've all come out of 2 years of junk. The ability for us to lift ourselves up sometimes is challenging, at its easiest word, and oftentimes we get kind of down, and we get it kind of rolled forward. Our physiology and our mental state work so hand in hand. So when you get out and you exercise, your whole physical body changes, your emotional and mental state change accordingly. They have no other possibility but to adjust to what you're doing. So the action of actually moving is so key. And that kind of brings us back around to the NLP thing. This is where a lot of people get stuck, right? It's, yes, okay, so the physical part is going to lift my emotional state, and it's proven. The research is there that'll show you that. So how do we get over that hump? Like, how do we get through that first step? And that's where the NLP and the MER really come into play, because you start looking again. I was talking earlier about it being content, but you start discovering, like, we know what we're supposed to do, but it's challenging because our unconscious habits, it's not even that's our conscious mind speaking. We know what we're supposed to do. I know I'm supposed to drink this full glass of water over here next to me, right? And then until I make it habit, I'm consciously thinking about that. So we have, due to, we're all different ages, we all come with different experiences, and we have a lot of things that were imprinted on us patternly by, in our younger years, and we cast a shade of perspective on how we view those things, right? They're kind of tainted in a way. Maybe not tainted badly, but they're tainted. Like, we get used to the unconscious patterning. It sits there, the habits sit there, and rewriting a habit can be challenging. Can it be done? Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be done. It can be done by happenstance. It can be done by mistake. You can kind of look back on it and say, oh, I did that. That happened because, but making a conscious effort to move yourself in the direction of bettering your life so you can live the life you desire and go after the goals you want and search and, become, really create the world that you want, takes conscious effort. And our unconscious patterning is, when you go through kind of the levels of change, you have your unconscious incompetence where you don't know what you don't know, right? And then you have to work to make it competent, and that's a conscious competence. And then you have to work to get it unconscious again to where you're not thinking about doing it, but you're doing it, right? You go through levels of habit building to get it to be a positive habit that you're unconscious about. And that's what NLP, that's where that ties in there. So it's exciting for me. It's exciting because it's not only empowering to me, but I can see how it empowers other people. When I first started coaching in person, when I was doing, I kind of moved through and I started coaching some endurance work. This is something that I noticed without even knowing NLP. So we're talking like 6-7 years ago. I'd watch people, mostly women. I tended to coach a lot of women. There were a couple of men that chimed in there, absolutely good. But there was a lot of women. And I think there were a lot of women in a state of finding themselves. They've poured themselves into their families, or they've poured themselves into their careers. And now they're like, maybe I should be careful with how I phrase this because I'm there too, like middle-aged. We're like in our 40s or in our 50s. I even coach some in their 70s where they're like, oh, I'm discovering myself. And what I realized as I was coaching them through running is that there were these shifts and changes that were naturally occurring in their mind, but they'd put themselves through miles and miles and miles before they'd start to realize that they were changing. So NLP, again, like it certainly can be done that way. That's the way I did it. NLP is kind of just like a faster way of grasping kind of a little snapshot, if you will, of what's going on. Oh, where are these patterns showing up in my world over and over and over again? Oh, how can I change that now? And the thing I love about incorporating those two together is it kind of resets some of those unconscious patterns. So you can then make a very good conscious decision and reset a new habit that helps to propel you forward. And it's, again, not just in your physical world, but these are things that overlap over and over and over again in your business, in your family, in your, in your social life, in your relationships. It's unending how far reaching this can be. So I'm a big proponent. I'm a big supporter of moving your body, and tying it in with the mental aspect so you can benefit quicker, faster, just more from knowing the unconscious piece behind it, which is kind of where I think is huge.
So we've got entrepreneurs on the call who are super busy all the time, as we know, and have kind of crazy schedules and have lives and families and all the things. What are some of your biggest tips when somebody knows that if they were leading themselves at a higher level, they were taking care of themselves more physically better, that they would have more energy, more focus, more emotional strength to make it through the upcoming changes in the market, to all the things. We know consciously that this is the reality, but it's not, our subconscious habits aren't taking over. We're not doing the things we know we should do necessarily. And we've got all the reasons and excuses of why we can't. What are some of the things that you coach people to? What are the first steps? What can get them into some sort of a new habit, or how can they start to do things to see the correlation, to get some of the rewards, to then obviously create more, desire and motivation? What are some tips?
Yeah, so some of the tips that I would definitely start with are looking at the habits that are presenting themselves. I think habits that are actually showing up, like the things, tracking them, seeing what it is that's actually derailing, what is it that shows up all the time? Like that's a big piece. Thought monitoring is another big piece. And that's like, how do you speak to yourself? Looking at that and kind of starting to get a little bit of awareness, like that gets pretty deep, but gaining some awareness around that so you can start to change those habitual unconscious pieces. Kind of like I would say definitely my number one is get yourself a coach. And I know that kind of sounds like it's self-promoting, but no, get yourself a coach. Like I have coaches that I use. I have a fitness coach. Even though I'm a fitness coach, I have somebody that I go to, and I have business coaches, right? So like these people were put in place to be able to facilitate a space of you to get honest with yourself and to realize like, okay, where am I not showing up for myself? So get yourself that space, and that so you can have somebody that's going to hold you accountable, that's going to hold you to your word, and help guide you in the direction that could help really make this easy. So habits are difficult. So when we look at our habits, we want to do things that are going to make it we want to do things that are going to make those habits easy. We want to do things that are going to make those habits kind of pleasurable, right? So they look good and they feel good. They're going to be fun for you. So those are definitely things that you're going to want to go to, whether it's health and fitness, whether it's nutrition, physical fitness, or whether it's nutrition that you're looking at. Like you want to make those things easy. And first part is recognizing what needs to be changed. And then as you're changing it, you want to make those things easy. They got to fit into what you're doing. And there's a process for going through and changing, recognizing those habits, changing those habits, and then upholding those habits until they become unconscious and easy for you. But those are definitely some of the tips. And as far as the busyness and the scheduling, it's amazing what happens when you start to schedule yourself in and you put yourself on the calendar. Like put yourself on the calendar, you're going to learn how to fit yourself in there. It's time management. And so many more times we become more efficient throughout our day when we get the exercise in. You start those, again, productivity boosting chemicals that are then generated in your brain. You think better, you focus better. The time is there. When you prioritize yourself, you'll see that it literally changes how you move throughout the day. You're going to be more effective, more efficient. The ticket is putting your shoes on and taking that first step.
Absolutely. Let's get some questions going. If anybody has any, unmute yourself, let us know. Yeah.
One more thing I would also say, as far as for people who are really looking to make that change, meal prep. So schedule and meal prep. Get yourself, I think I took it down. I have a board. Like I know everybody's got a digital calendar. You got to do what works for you. Digital calendar sometimes works for me, but not for my habits. So when I have a habit tracker that I need to do, like it is written big on a big white piece of paper with black Sharpie. It is on my board, in my face, makes it super easy to check it off and say, done.
Yeah. Find
what works for you and meal prep. That way, when you're busy during the week, you've got your kids, you've got your work, you've got your everything, you just grab and go.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to make those priorities and then say, okay, well, what's going to make this as efficient and effective as possible to fit into my lifestyle? But you are very correct. When I was doing a few different things, when I was training as running, which is when I first met you, also when my husband and I did the 75 hard challenge, those were things where we just had so much personal time that we had to carve into our day, from meal prep to 2 45-minute workouts and getting ready after the workout to be able to get in an appointment, or, showering, the whole thing. Like every little thing was like, oh, that's more time. And I could have let that be an excuse. But the reality is our businesses, not only did they not go down because of it, they really actually thrived because we were in such a space of clarity, focus, intentionality, discipline, energy, confidence. I mean, it can go on and on and on, that it really was a reminder, you guys, that actually you don't need much time to be successful. You just need super, super focused, intentional, present time. And when you bring a positive energy and more focus and intentionality and energy positively and all of those things, like, you attract more opportunities. So we think we need more time, and it's not that we need more time, we need more focused time. So we were finding that we were able to fit everything in. And then we started to realize, gosh, we waste a lot of time. Because as human beings, we'll fill the time allotted, right? We'll sit at the office for 6 hours if we're given 6 hours to sit there and do things. But in reality, if we only had 3 hours, we could get it all done in those 3 hours. And that was the biggest aha for us during that, was that these are not really excuses. They're just reasons our mind is telling us not to do something because we're uncomfortable, or we don't want to get started in something that's uncertain or painful a little bit or uncomfortable. But in reality, it's not true. So that isn't the truth. And you can make those changes. So if you want it bad enough, you'll do it. And if you just fully commit, and there's no other option, like, you will find a way. And then you're going to be feeling so good about yourself because you did find a way. It's such an accomplishment that there's just nothing that you now distrust yourself about. You can show up for yourself, and you can accomplish hard things, and you can overcome and do things. And I think, Tricia, this is great timing. We didn't know this when we scheduled you to come on. But honestly, the market is softening, it's changing. I've been through multiple market shifts myself in 24 years, but a lot of people have not. And it's very uncertain and unnerving for entrepreneurs, especially in this industry. We start to see changes. The number one advice I could give someone right now is to do something like this. Go get yourself a coach or a trainer. Go do 75 hard. Tell yourself you're going to do a 5K and train for it. Train for something. Even if you walk the 5K, because right now you can't even walk around the block. I don't care, but something that's going to push you physically and mentally, because you will gain the emotional fitness that you need right now to get through the market changing. Because if you don't manage your mind, and you don't come from a place of energy, focus, intentionality, purpose, positivity right now, you will not manifest opportunities that you need. I am a firm believer in that. So if you're nervous and you feel like I got to do something, yes, you need to get into activity in your daily activities for real estate, but you should do something like this. I would highly encourage it.
Absolutely. I think two words that, well, you said several words that really, really rung true, but yes, intentional, like being intentional with that. And that kind of takes us, I had mentioned that the thought monitoring like a little bit ago. When you're intentional with those things, like you want to put yourself in front of, you want to be truthful with yourself, right? You want to say, okay, I'm committing to this. And then you do it, because when you don't do it, you got somebody in the back of your mind saying, all right, so they're not necessarily being honest with me. No, we want the honesty. Like, you want your unconscious mind and your conscious mind saying, okay, we know we're solid here. When this gal says she's going to do it, she's going to do it. And that's where it really starts to transfer. Again, making something easy, and get yourself an accountability partner, get a coach, get somebody that's going to hold you to your word. When you say, and this is kind of a little tip that I've kind of heard, and this kind of works across the board, but like, if you make a financial commitment to it, whether you hire a coach or whether you have a friend and you're like, oh, if I don't do this, I'm going to give you $500. Well, guess what? You're going to do it. Right? Because it's big, right? It's you're committing to something that is real for you. And yes, you're right. Emotional fitness comes out of this 100%. And if things are lightening up a little bit and you need to toughen up a little bit as far as the emotions go and the mental side of things, now's the time to do it. You want to 100% put yourself in a position that you can see the opportunities and manifest that for yourself. Like, that's where it comes from. That's how you create your world.
It is. It literally is.
Yeah, it's magical. It's beautiful. And this is like a little itty bitty tidbit on what NLP does and MER. Really, like, we all have experiences, and they all have some sort of emotional fixation on them, whether it's negative or positive, right? So you have an experience. Maybe I'll say, well, no, I ran a 5K and I didn't have a good experience. I got sick at the end and I felt really crappy and blah, 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 blah. So you've painted it negative. So now when you look at things, you're probably like, if you're looking at starting a new 5K, more likely than not, like that's kind of wheeling around there. It's got to go through that. I don't feel good, or I was frustrated, or I didn't have a good time. It's got to go through that filter and it paints it. So what MER does, it erases that. Like it removes the negative piece. The experience is still there, but now you can stand at a very neutral space and you can look at it, and you don't have the negative experience. You don't have the negative filter. You don't have those bugs across your windshield. You're looking at it from a clear perspective. All of a sudden you see things differently. It's not oh, that was a negative experience for me. It was just an experience. And maybe it's one that I could benefit from having again. That's where that whole piece ties in. And it's really, it's just a beautiful way of opening up opportunity for yourself to kind of get that new perspective.
I love that. Any thoughts or comments from anybody? I know Tricia and I could talk about this stuff for days. And it's really transformed both of our lives at different times. And I can certainly point to times when I needed to do something like this because I was in a funk or I was in a challenging time, and it really did bring me so much benefit. And there's times where I'm not in my best self when it comes to my physical. I mean, I'm a human being just like you all are. So, there's no judgment on where you're at today. But if you're interested in figuring out how can I get myself into some action, how can I utilize this strategy because I need it today more than ever, I'd encourage you to reach out to Tricia. Tricia, do you have the ability to put your contact information in the chat box for people right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know Tricia would have a conversation with you without obligation, certainly, give you some feedback and help you in any way that she can. And we would love to, maybe we do some sort of a group challenge here with an EXP family tree if you guys would like to, and we can bring Tricia back in a couple different times to help us with some things. But we're here to support you in all ways, business and life. That's my approach to everything. It always has been. And, that's why I really wanted to bring Tricia in for us, because she is so valuable in this conversation. So if you do want some one-on-one work, though, the NLP is unbelievable to really unlock some limiting beliefs or some challenges you might be having that are leaking into taking care of yourself physically, that are also then therefore leaking into your business. So please don't hesitate to reach out to her. We like to bring you the resources of people that we know and trust to help you however we can. So that's what that's for. So Tricia just put her contact information in. So any final thoughts, comments, questions, anyone?
Okay. I'd just like to say, yeah, absolutely. If anybody does have any questions or they want to follow up, please go ahead and do that. You can reach me at any, at the email now, freedomhousecoaching@gmail.com, or you can text me, would probably be easiest on my phone. I just want to encourage everybody kind of like just to take a moment to say, like, what if, like, what are some of the things that what are some of the things that you have, your desired goals, your lifestyle that you'd want to have, whatever that you would prefer to manifest, like take a good hard look at that. And like, what is the next step for you? And is it now or is it next week? Like, those are the kind of questions you got to ask yourselves. Like, what happens if I wait on this? What happens if I do it now? And allow yourself the opportunity to get real with yourself. And please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to do a discovery call with anybody that wants to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to sit down and do like a 20 or 30 minute call and just get real about it and hold space to open up the opportunity for people to get vulnerable with themselves. And this is a challenging thing. It's not easy to step into, and it's so worth it. Like, it is, it is just a greatly beneficial opportunity when you open yourself up to taking a chance.
That's awesome. Well, I think you inspired some people. This is always something that people have to process through, because it is, oftentimes what people are thinking about, but taking that action is always a little scary. So I'm excited that you were here. I know a lot of people are watching live, and will continue to watch this. So you probably will have some people reach out. If somebody doesn't get this contact information, reach out to me and I can get you connected with Tricia as well. Either way, we hope that you continue to, focus on yourselves as entrepreneurs. Remember, you are your business. You got to take care of yourself in order to have a successful business. So hopefully, if nothing else, this reminded you of that today. Tricia, it was great to see you again. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll be seeing you back here again throughout our time. I know you bring a lot of value to people, and I'd love to have you back.
All right, that sounds wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, Carrie.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a great day.
All right, bye.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.